PR Connections Radio presents. This episode of Liberating Menopause is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Welcome to Liberating Menopause. My name is Lisa Vasquez. I am your host, prconnectionsradio.com. It's such a pleasure to be here today with this conversation as we've been looking through the nourishment lens. And I take you again into radiology lens, focusing on the inner parts of your well-being. And, I was today with the title, The Break Room That's Breaking You. So I had been talking about how food affects us and how, the fast food industry has created engineering in a box or different flavors that we think are flavors. And in fact, they're kind of more toxic to our system and bloodlines than anything. I bring this all to you, not to discourage you, not to, oh, wow. A lot of people that are, how would you say, not walking on this side of the playground in health, looking for things that are really going to benefit the body. Instead, other people sometimes just devour and eat and feel that the stomach is just dumping ground, right? Whatever you see, you eat, whatever, and it's just a reaction. It's been through history. This is how we grew up, trained to eat what's been put there or what we see, or, we grew up with our parents shopping and then we go shopping and kind of reach for the same things, but the whole industry has completely changed. I was talking about that we are not living in the lifestyles that our grandparents or our parents have lived in. We are women of the world who have given up a lot of crocheting and knitting to end in our years of as we transition out of the workplace into your authentic self, because that's what happens. All those identities are stripped from you. It's really interesting how, in your 30s were really the building years, 30s and 40s. 20s are really the identifying years. And with that, when you go into all these different discoveries in your age group, and finally, by the time you've done your building, 50s and 60s, you're working at everything. And suddenly 70s come and you're standing there because now there could be, had you not had big, long visions, looking into the future of how you want your life to be in retirement, you could bring a little bad energy to the younger group that has more vigor, has more vitality. They're doing something that you wanted to do and never got to do. And now you're seeing it happen. And, sometimes because of our hormonal changes and things like that, it's very emotional, and it could be something that really takes away from you. And by eating all these foods that I bring to you and talk to you about is really to bring in conditioning, because honestly, had I not read about this and studied this stuff, I wouldn't have even known the big transition that the world of food, what I would call a food for the journey, has transitioned into things that are really hurting us more than helping us. And we don't know that because we've been trained in a quick fix world. Hurry up, drive through, hurry up, grab it, pick it up, go, hurry up, throw it in the microwave, pop it out. Even though it says you can microwave in this safe bag. And that's what we do. But honestly, you're still seeping and leaking all those plastics and everything into that food. So, honestly, if you read that and see that, take it out and really have something to put it in, like a glass plate or a good source of a paper towel bowl, something that's, more structured, not just some kind of cardboard or anything that can absorb back into your food. But aside from that, by bringing this to you and talking to you about this food, just the break room. Now, the break room can consist of where you eat. The break room can consist of the mental plate you want to build. And it's your getaway when, things get stressed in the workplace and, oh my gosh, you can't take it anymore. So what do? You walk outside, you go sit in your car, you go find a tree to sit under. I mean, that could be the break place. And, this is where we are breaking. And even though these moments, they're just the truth of who we are. And we know that we go back to work and we, get back up on doing what we're doing and enjoy being where we're being at the point of, even though inside it's really not the best place. It's not a room with the door, and it's not a place the clock enters into. This is a place that's a moment that your nervous system that really knows everything whispers that you can't keep up. You need a pause. And we don't always take that pause. I had mentioned that in my past, when I realized, what I didn't want to come out of work was showing all the stress, all that stress and everything builds up. And, the food that you eat, all that you're devouring is all through this one phase of a work phase. And that phase is going to disappear and you'll become your authentic self. I was just reading today of a woman who, she's really sad because she looks at herself. She's 61 years old and she's so disgusted. She's upset. She gets mad that this is the face her husband has to look at, which means she was feeling that, he's looking at other pretty women and she wasn't feeling empowered, very broken. She's only 61 years old. And, if that's how she feels today with how she looked, I mean, sure, there was a mapping of life appearing on her face in the creases and, her sad eyes because of the conversation that she's presenting. There was nothing positive in the conversation. And that's what is very hurtful. And these are the roads that I really, when I work with women, want to be with those women who really look down on themselves because they feel like it's their failure. They feel, that they didn't do enough before to get to where they're going. And now they're standing in that spot. And I'm telling you, it's a blink of an eye. Even though we drudge through work every day and we go every day and we have to crawl out of bed or drag ourselves out of bed or, stay up all night because we can't sleep, tossing and turning. So many things are happening in a day and we carry it over into the next day when actually, if you just leave it behind, nothing that happened yesterday can be taken care of today because there's so much more happening today. That's why I always say today is your tomorrow. And we don't want to carry all that backpack of heaviness in with us. Some things just have to be left to your faith and your strength in who you are and just believing that, something will come out of this on a good side of things. But we're not used to that either. We get in our own way. We badger ourselves. What if I would have stayed here? What if I would have done this? I mean, even me being retired today, sometimes that little whisper, like, what if I stayed working? Because a lot transitioned in how I take care of myself today, funding wise, financially, because you have to come back to zero to go back up. It's just part of it. You have to become that freshman to really understand being that senior, even if you are a senior, because there's so much that intervals that balance out all of that. It's not being afraid to step back and take in another look, starting lots of times when I go to visit where I came from in my city, I love to go right back to the neighborhood and stand there and stand where I planted my dreams, where, how do I come out of this environment? How is this going to change? And I go back to stand there just to meditate because I'm looking for my future. I'm looking forward to seeing that vision. I'm happy to see that, yes, this is only a moment. And this is kind of from the memory box of, everything that happened there, and transitioning out of that. You want to leave it behind, and you want to be empowered by all that took you there, whether it was your haters in the neighborhood, your own family dysfunctions that took place, your traveled life on that travel lifestyle that you were in. And some people scratch to get out of it, and they don't, because they don't know how to reach out. And so by knowing all these things that are going to happen, because we're all working women and we're all going in a direction. And what I want to do is have you go into that direction in a full body, full health, as best as you can be, instead of coming out being broken, damaged, and then finding out later, oh my gosh, I've been eating that all these years. I've been doing that all these years. I've been putting all that into my body. And, that's where the health bomb comes up. So I just want to go over a few things. I'm not using name brands. And this is where, as you develop in this conversation, you'll need to go and find your studies in what you're doing to your body with the things that you fuel it with. Or if you're still feeding it for flavors, then you got to really understand this, because again, I was saying 35 and up is all about fueling. 35 below, all about feeding flavors and everything that you've known. And so it's not something that you can miss, and it's not something that you don't know, because you know what a cheeseburger tastes like, or what, but it's finding that good grade of ground beef, say for instance. They come in different measurements. One day I bought one that should have been like the best grade, and then I find out it was kind of mixed with a low grade because the dryness was in there. And I was like, wow, that kind of gets you mad, right? Because if you really understand the flavors and the food you're eating, you'd understand that. So today we're going to be talking about, okay, so here's one of them, and this is rice. And that there's different levels of rice, and it does get complicated, because when I look at those prices today, the best one that I like is not, the expense that it costs. And then I have to think about the carbs and what it's going to do. And am I really going to be using that much out of the bag? I wish I could just get a scoop of it, because I don't want to bring it all home. I told you I really watch the carbs and the sugar and things like that, because they can, kind of be damaging if you're overdoing it. Because if you're eating carbs and you're going to go lay down, then that was the wrong time to eat them. Like if you ate oatmeal full of carbs, right? But then you went back to bed, that wasn't the thing to do, because of the energy it wanted to give you. And now you took it down, and now it just started to grow on you and show on you, instead of activate you and get you going. So you could lay there and grow, or get up and go. And that's the idea. You have to see what you're eating and put two and two together. If that's what you're going to do, most of your energy is in the morning, then, make it that choice to do those things. But if it's nighttime, which at nighttime you should have a softer, smaller meal and not engorge on so much. But again, our lifestyles, our changes. And again, I didn't know this stuff when I was growing up. And I am just so glad that by the time I hit 30, I was on that road with women who were starting to show me this. Now, food wasn't at risk as high as it is today, but it was enough to teach me to train myself to cut back on those whispers. I'm a pasta. I love pasta. I could sit there and eat the whole box. That was my problem. So, like any kind of addiction, like drinking or, partying too much, this can grow on you, and you just want it. So I knew that was something I had to eliminate. You have to eliminate to elevate. So pasta, gosh, luckily here at home, not everybody's crazy about it. So it's not something I could feast on. It's not something I could present at the table because I'd be the only one eating it. So again, I look at the portions and say, wow, I wish I could just have a couple of scoops of that so I could take home, cook it for me. But no, you have to buy the whole box. And now it's all going to sit there because it'll be a long time before I hit those carbs again. So, I know because it's an addiction. I know I love it. I know I could sit there and eat it. Lots of cheese, lots of butter. I mean, I'm in. So I have to stay out. But anyway, so here's one of those cheap rices. Again, no names, but your health will pay the real price. Packed with high levels of arsenic, strange extras, and grains that don't even cook evenly. Could you imagine that? It's one of the most unsafe rices you can buy. Some bags even come out with a chemical smell. And that was another thing when I was talking about bread. That's one thing I hate. So, I started just going directly to their bakery and buying it fresh because I know within 3 to 4 days, the mold will start showing up the way it should. And, I know that the bread was made fresh. So, they didn't put all the junk in because they don't want it to last. They want you to buy it at the time. And, and so that works out better for me. And especially because of all the smells that were in those plastic bags. They were really, so I'm not sure if you are seeing these things or, noticing them, but really those are whispers of something can't be right. So proving how low quality the making is, eating this often is slowly poisoning your body with every plate. Now, could you imagine that? Every plate. Now, some people bring this to work a lot. They put it in their plastic container because it's easy to add things to. But understanding the grade that you're eating is what I'm bringing to you. Because if you're constantly doing that every day, you have 30 years to work pretty much, right? That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff that's damaging you. And as I said, a lot of things are creepers. They're slow leaks. They're slow creeping and they attack you. And suddenly the whole gang shows up and boom, it hits you like a health bomb. And now you have issues. So, there was another one and Americans love it, but they have no idea what's inside. And the studies have shown the traces of dirt and grains that change. They lost most of their natural vitamins. And the field that they come from is mushy. The flavors, the taste, factory-like. And the worst part, some experts warn that eating this for a long time could increase poison buildup in your blood. Now, you wouldn't have thought that from those little white kernel things. I mean, we all know that rice is empty, no nutrition, nothing's in it because they wash all that stuff away. And here the number one. Now, this is something that is in one of those pouches, as I said, and it's a real quick fix, and you could throw it in the microwave, and it's easy to reach for. But one of the most famous rice brands in the U.S., but also one of the most dangerous. Could you imagine that? This rice is heavily processed, filled with fake chemicals, and known for containing higher than average arsenic. I had started using some soaps that had rice in it, and they may benefit. But now that I know so much more about this arsenic stuff, now I got to find out where that rice is coming from that they're creating this out of, because I don't want to be doing that to myself. I just thought it was something new. My base would like something new. Today I'm celebrating and saying goodbye to the 64th year of my life. Next week, I'll gain my Medicare license and IDs. And, it's like being 20 and 21. Here comes those driving IDs, right? Well, this is the one that tells you, here we go, right? And I was laughing because I thought, what other IDs come after this? And really, it's kind of just your death certificate. I couldn't think of anything. So I'm happy to be here today and say goodbye. Tomorrow's Friday. I have a great party to go dance it away. My last Friday of 64. I really treasure every day of my years. And really like to, the week of my birthday, really take a big reflection, a time of silent time for me so that I could replenish. I want to bring the energy of hopefully when I was in my mother's belly, it was a good time, not a bad time, where I wasn't being stressed. I was just laid back and, getting ready to really have the alarm go off and the oven open and release me, right? So I always try to recreate that the week that I'm going to be born, because I don't want to be stressed. I usually had taken that week off from work. Our last place I want to be is at work, around people that I work with, and going through all the changes and all the exchanges with all the public and things like that, because it could bring some stress on you, right? And I don't want to be stressed that week. I want to be born again in a new renewing of me. So that's one of my, celebrations for today. But anyway, talking about that arsenic, yeah, that's what's happening with our rice. So what looks healthy on the labels is actually a lab-made product that can harm your heart and your kidneys and stomach over time. So, I really hope that this is reaching people, because food on the journey is so important. And we have a journey to take. But the journey that we're on in this generation today in the working place is pretty dangerous when it comes to what you're doing for yourself. I know that it's not easy. People don't like to go work out at lunchtime. They don't even they just want to go sit down. They just want to, lay back. They just want a me time moment. And I get that. But honestly, the best me time is when you go running or you go taking that big long walk aimlessly, just listening. Could you imagine, birds are singing all the time. I don't know if you're into nature dosing, but that is so important. But sometimes we walk right through those whispers. We don't even pay attention because it's just there, right? I know when Prince, the artist, singer, when he died, he had a whole garden in his house where doves were. And do you know that they went silent when he passed away? Could you imagine that? So, nature dosing is so important. And, it's even like, your refrigerator, it's making a noise all the time, right? But it's not something that we notice. And this is what I mean, is that, those small whispers, things that we should be recognizing to bring in clarity and relaxation to us, is what we ignore because we're listening for the loud noise. But really the secret to this life is in the silence and the whispers that you hear and speak to yourself in your secret place with yourself. So, do you know, this was pretty interesting. So this is like some ice cream, and I used to buy one of them, and this was mostly because it said that, what do you call it when it's not full of milk? Because I have a thing with milk, and now when I get to the milk section, you'll know why. But anyway, so that was the only one I would reach for. And oh my gosh, when I read this stuff, I was like, oh man, it sells itself as natural, but it's packed with gum fillers and chemicals. And chemicals, it's so changed that the FDA even questioned if it should be legally called ice cream. I was like, wow, they're really questioning this. What you're really eating is a frozen chemical sponge that tricks your tongue into, sorry, didn't mean to do that. It tricks your tongue into thinking it's real. And many buyers that say this ice cream melts into a strange foamy liquid. I saw that once because sometimes I like it melted. I like it to be creamy and melted. And so I did see that. I didn't notice and know that it made a difference. At the time, I still ate it because that's how I like it, a little melted. But now I see why, So proving just how fake it really is. There's another big one, and this is loved by millions of Americans, but it's one of the most dangerous sugar bombs. A single cup can contain more than, oh, this is crazy, more than, a single cup contains more than 6 tablespoons of sugar plus bits of bad pesticides found in their ingredients. And I was like, wow. Food experts warn it's like spoon feeding your diabetes. So one bite at a time, the 3 worst there's 3 ice creams out there. So, again, this is stuff that you need to study. See if you're eating any of this. Look it up. Find out for yourselves, because there are higher grades and better grades. Or, we have a lot of ice cream makers machines out there today. And maybe you could invest with the good stuff and make your own ice cream at home so you could feel assured. Especially, when I bring this to you, you have to also think of the little guys at home, the little kids, the children that you're raising and all this stuff. And you're thinking that this is a good thing and find out that then now they're getting sick. I mean, children today have a lot of diabetes and that fatty liver that I told you about that, is like a cirrhosis to the liver. And again, when my friends found out that they have that, they were like in shock because they don't drink. But it doesn't mean that you have to be drinking. It's all the damaging things that we do. So I'm going to go into, as I said, milk. There's so many that are cheap, and there's a reason. It's overmixed, heavy filtered, and emptied of a natural vitamins to survive longer on shelves. This doesn't taste like milk. It tastes like something that used to be milk. The taste is flat, watery, and empty. When you pour it, it looks like milk, but your body doesn't react to it like real dairy. This isn't farm milk. It's a factory liquid acting to be fresh. Do you believe that? There's another one. This is the most fake healthy milk in America. They filter it. We build it and chemically change it into looking cleaner and more healthy. And it tastes smooth. And do you believe that? I mean, it's not even milk. So now, that concerns me because we have babies drinking this stuff. And, again, with prices and a lot of job losses and a lot of things that are overtaking our food industry. By raising those prices, these are the things we reach for. And so this is why, again, you're drinking lab and engineered dairy products. Your stomach feels full, but your body feels confused. And it gets through it, and so do you. And that's just the way it is. But the damage is really taking place. And it could show up later, later in life. And so hard to really get a grip on all this stuff, because who knew? This is just, it is just really crazy. Don't you think that, there's energy drinks, there's a bunch of those. I mean, the users report the opposite. Instead of the energy, they sudden spike followed by hard crashes, headaches, and jittery side effects. What feels powerful for a moment often leaves you more tired than before. And wow, instead of steady energy, you get a shorter burst of regret in a tiny bottle. So these are facts, and these are things you could look up and, really try to understand how the body's reacting, how to know what you're entering into that break room. You'll feel it before you think it. Your body gives you these signals, a sudden craving, a drop in your energy, irritation, brain fog. Brain fog is really big. And the urge, to need to the feelings of being done, even though the day hasn't even really began. Those are some of those triggers. And the emotional triggers are feeling unappreciated because these things can create moods. The break room usually appears after, as I said, you go outside and, you just took care of somebody and, it wasn't appreciated. And you're thinking you did your best, but it's really not about you, because a lot of people come in, and in my industry, in the healthcare system, they're all sick, injured, hurt, broken, called back for diagnosis. They don't understand. They're worried all weekend, waiting to get that call back and come back in and get it taken care of. Sometimes they could have a beautiful ending to the story where they get to go and it was just a technical thing, but lots of times it could finally be a big diagnosis. So when I would do my mammograms and bring my women in, I knew that this one moment in time that I'm with her could actually change everything. Until we see the films. And as I told you in the past, as a mammographer, I get to see the films. And as a big, I studied reading films with residents, doctors. I mean, it's reading tissue patterns. And to know all that, it's so deep, because when you look at a mammogram, oh, you just see all this stuff. But when I look at a mammogram, I see a path, I see a mapping, I see a person. And honestly, sometimes when they would ask me about a patient, I'd really have to look at the films to really identify with the name. That's crazy, but that's how I'm trained in this industry, knowing and reading all these things to be so active with my women, knowing that, again, this moment can really change her life. And again, if I've seen it, I already know that it's changed her life. Now I have to wait. Well, I don't have to wait. I know she leaves and she'll be getting that phone call, because after I bring it to the radiologist, first thing he does is call her doctor, and the whole cycle goes into motion. So, when you sit behind and you see these things and know these things, why women get stuck here with our new world today, and the new fast world, and the way things are, today, I want you to notice your break room, not with judgment, not with shame, just with the chemistry that you're bringing into it, because it's affecting you. Where do you go when you're overwhelmed? What do you do for that? Do you just sit there and stay? Because you can't heal in the environment that's hurting you. So you really need to separate and take yourself out. As I said, you have to eliminate to elevate. And if you're just going to sit there in the same muddy pile and just let it keep making you, squirting you with more splashes of mud, then that's what you're going to do. Or you can get up, go out, clean yourself off, come back and be more vibrant, bring in more vitality and a higher energy of self-confidence, knowing that you are loved, you are seen, you are known, and you yourself appreciate who you are, because you know who you are. It's not about what everybody else thinks. As they say in the Bible, man's opinion means nothing. So I'm going to leave you with those words. Next week's going to be a really cool episode as we close out the month of Black History Month. We're going to have a great female conversation. I'm looking forward to that. So until then, everyone, have a good weekend and take care. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Envision U. Envision U has discovered how to impact spirit, body, and soul with spray technology in just 30 seconds. With Envision U, you can achieve optimal health and start living the life you have always dreamed of. Use the promo code envisionu.com/VernDix to take control of your health naturally. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.